That's just a sample of many comments people have posted wanting me to do the reverse of 10 bad songs by good bands, which you can check out in the info card in the top right video and in the comments. Well, just like Babe Ruth would occasionally strike out, so can your drunk stepdad in a beer league occasionally hit a home run. Calling all the bands on this list bad is just a generalized opinion for many people. Keep in mind though, I'm also aware of the butthurt that's going to come in the comments when they see who's on this list. Guys, like what you like. It's fine. This video is an attempt to be positive and point out good music from bands that are seen as too mainstream or one-trick ponies or awful. There's no nice way to say it. Some of the bands on this list actually are awful. And since YouTube won't let me play full clips anymore, you can check out all of these songs in the video description. Like last time, this is not a top 10, no rankings, just a list of good songs by bad bands. Let's get Rock's favorite punching bag out of the way first. I said before I was a Nickelback fan back in the days of the state, and the opening track Breathe on that album I still feel is good. I know Nickelback is the cool band to hate, and I've gone on many times on why I personally dislike the group, but they still have good songs in their discography, especially going back into the earlier years. While there is that rock radio format, it's done with much more energy and guitar effects in the riffs, and Chad Kroeger sounds like he's actually trying to make good music, not just, sell another single. There are lyrics that tell a bit of a story, and you want to hear it again as soon as it's over. It's also a great way to start off an album. It's a far cry from the sound of Photograph, or interchangeable singles like How You Remind Me and Sunday. This felt unique back in the early 2000s and still feels like something special. It's rare you ever hear this song played live from what I understand, and that's a shame considering that the band plays other hits at every show. They can do more than the song Photograph, and this is proof of that. Nickelback manipulated the radio method by figuring out what songs chart and then copying that to make their own music for years. It's a shame too, because now we have schlocky, meaningless songs from a band who is more than capable of making something special. Side note, the song Feed the Machine that came out a few years back is excellent. I felt that album was pretty mad, but the title track from the album is the best thing Nickelback has done in over 10 years. Okay, back to the list. Jumping forward a bit is a band who definitely earned some negative feedback and criticism as time has gone on. This is a band who, in my definition, is wasted potential. Five Finger Death Punch, a group with tons of talent, but their attitudes are so poor that rarely does good work come out, especially in later years. That wasn't always the case though. I would say in the early days and even a few years after the debut album Way of the Fist, the band shined in many ways, and the song The Bleeding definitely proves that. It comes from a sincere place, written by Ivan Moody about the end of his previous band Motigrator and about an ending relationship in his personal life. It's not just raw, I'm a man and everyone hates me and I'm alone and I'm better than you for it. This one has real emotion coming out. On top of that, the guitar work isn't just chugga-chugga, it's good rhythms from the opening softer moments with Ivan singing, showing he does have a good voice, to loud riffs with Moody screaming to get a point across in catharsis. The ending line of "It's Over Now" is such a dooming but poignant line for a song like this also. I've said for years that it's an attitude over ability issue with Five Finger Death Punch. They have all the ability they could ever want, it's just their attitudes that get in the way. I honestly feel that the first few albums from this band had so much more going for them than anything in the last 8 years or so, but will we ever get anything besides monster-chugging, drywall-punching bro metal songs? I don't know, but don't say they never had a good song, because they did. Yeah, probably wouldn't expect me to stick up for a band naming themselves after loogies, but it's true, Saliva had a good track. It wasn't even on their breakout album either, but came after that on the album Back Into Your System, a #1 single back in 2002, for whatever that's worth. I said before in a Rock Coliseum livestream that Always is the best song that Saliva has ever done, hands down. This is top shelf Saliva. Gross. This is a huge step up from Click Click Boom. Josie Scott sounds like an actual singer in the choruses, and there is a proper build, and it's all mixed nice, and there's a great hook, and yes, I'm aware I'm grading on a huge curve because it's Saliva, I know. Seriously though, it's a good song. It might be the only song really worth merit from the band that isn't worth laughing at when people mention Saliva from back in the day. Lyric writing is better than most of their other songs, there is actual instrument play that's not whatever Saliva pretends to do. I honestly think Always should have been the benchmark song, and then their status quo would have not been seen as a joke from the 2000s. You don't ever really hear anyone say, Saliva's an awesome band! But this song Always I think is good. It was in soundtracks, WWE used it for a while. Again, top shelf Saliva. Josie Scott and company may not be the superstars they once were, but not everything they did was cheesy. Always might be their one shining diamond, or it's the one song they have that's actually worth a spit. Another one you probably didn't expect me to defend. Let's be honest, Black Veil Brides are all dazzle or Hot Topic clearance rack apparel, and the music really does come second. However, I would defend that this band has one decent album, Wretched and Divine, and on that album in early 2013 is a song I feel worth pointing out as being fine. Black Veil Brides are capable of showing off their skills in a song and use their overdramatic presence in the writing, not just, I don't know, phoning it in for their audience and looking cool on stage. Many Black Veil Bride songs follow the same pattern of binding together and standing up to the unnamed oppression and being the loners. And if we band together, we'll be loners together, which doesn't make sense. But to Black Veil Bride fans, it's gospel. In the end, has some good group vocals and the bass drum kicks it off well, the guitars all sound nice, it works. Andy Black is putting in effort. I mean, it's no Linkin Park's in the end, but it still works. Don't get me wrong, there is a level of cheese to it, but it's the instrument work behind Black that actually gets shown off behind the magazine model that doesn't get focused on as much for this band. If this was the peak for Black Veil Brides, they could do much worse. It really is a case of a scene band with attractive band members winning fans over for looking tough in all black, but singing about being an outcast while you're being cheered for it. However, in this song, they actually proved to be a real band. They can actually play. That's way better than most of the scene bands out there. In the end, I do feel is that one simple but standout song from Black Veil Brides that proves they can make a hit. It was certified gold in the United States, featured in NHL 14, and works live. Fun fact, the song was released on Halloween. Because of course it was. Cater to your audience, Black Veil Brides. Hoobastank may have one of the dumbest band names ever, but not every song they've ever made has been terrible. The song that put them on the map for the rock scene may not be their most well-known in the public eye, but Crawling in the Dark definitely shows that the band, at least early on, had the ability to make something fun to hear. I recently went back to Hoobastank and listened to their music from years ago, and most of it, yeah, it's not good. But Crawling in the Dark still holds up. Crawling in the Dark off the band's self-titled album showed promise for a group who, oddly enough, had already been around for a while. The song definitely sounds of its time from 2001, but I mean that in a good way, and the energy in the chorus and the flow of the music really work well. That hook with the song title and Doug Robb, who admittedly is not the greatest singer, is able to give a good delivery and use his voice in a way that works well. If the rest of their music could have been this strong and memorable, people may not look back at Hoobastank and giggle a little about the reason, or how stupid the name Hoobastank actually is. Whether Hoobastank degraded over time, or they never really had as much ability as the hype machine let on, I can at least point out when they did something right. And I stand by that Hoobastank did something right with Crawling in the Dark. Then again, it came from a band called Hoobastank, so I can really only give it so much credit. It's a band whose greatest success came off of one piano key, but before then, they made songs with several notes and instruments. Wow, I've set the bar low on this list. Staind is a band that still has their diehard fan base from their time in the 90s and early 2000s, though the fans have definitely lessened over the years and their music has aged like milk. But it's still a group that really spoke to angsty youth. On their best-selling album Break the Cycle comes a song where I think they stood on their own musical talents to the best with For You. Staind is a fantastic definition of talented musicians shackled by a one-trick pony music writer who can't be bothered to care at all. But back at their peak, Crabby Uncle Aaron cared slightly, and in For You, it shows. It's just over 3.5 minutes, but the guitar riffs are strong and the actual music is quick and you can hear the emotion in Lewis's voice. Wow, talk about nostalgic thinking about when Aaron Lewis actually cared about his music. For You charted well back in the day, and every time Staind does a reunion tour, before promptly going away again, Staind blasts this song for a live crowd and everyone gets into it. I wish Staind was able to write with more emotion and creativity throughout the band's career. If he put as much effort into writing music as he did yelling at live crowds and loving his shotguns, then who knows what he could still do. I'm aware that there's probably going to be a few Staind fans out there that are furious watching this and enraged that I would dare insult Senpai Aaron, But this is me pointing out that Stain has good songs, and For You is one of them. Stain might be a product of its time, but they had a few good songs, and For You feels like one that hasn't completely aged poorly. When everyone in Stain cares and attitudes are put aside, this is what they can create. There are many people who remember Train fondly from the early 2000s, and for good reason, but Train is a band that went off the rails over the years. Sweet mercy, Pat Monahan, come back to planet Earth sometime. However, the title track off the band's second album, Drops of Jupiter, stood out in 2001 during an ocean of nu metal. That off-the-rails analogy really is perfect for describing Train over the years, and just how bad they got, and their best time was a bit of a flash in the pan looking back. But Drops of Jupiter still holds up. As far as pop rock goes, there are many strong instrument inclusions here, and Pat Monahan sounds fine when trying to be a musician and not a wannabe celebrity. The piano and organ working together, opening to Monahan's singing, and the entire track is a gradual build, adding more as it goes on. I feel that Drops of Jupiter is why people like Train back in the day. This is the band at their best, and while it's definitely Karen-core, esteemed by Crash Thompson, and lyrically it is all over the place, it still feels like a sincerity is given in the music. I'm of the mindset that Train did not do much after Drops of Jupiter at all, and it went steeply downhill, but as for this song itself, there's a lot going for it, besides being a word salad. Train are definitely a band of yesteryear that occasionally pop out every few years to remind us why they should be a band of yesteryear. I can't knock a peaceful, uplifting song done well though in the music. Drops of Jupiter definitely fits that bill. Most people know Alien Ant Farm from their cover of Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal, but they really didn't have much outside of that. However, that cover song that catapulted them into the spotlight was actually the second single from that album anthology. The first single, Movies, was re-released as a single after the success of Smooth Criminal. Honestly, this shows off what Alien Ant Farm can do and have fun with a song and their style a little bit more. It's not bad at all, and for a vocalist with a unique sound, it stands out well. Movies has a fun groove to it, and the bass is prominent, and the chorus has such a good hook. I mean, calling Alien Ant Farm a one-hit wonder would be accurate for sure, but this song was at least, I don't know, half a hit, and I think it's way better than them cheesing all over Michael Jackson's work. Alien Ant Farm gets labeled in the nu metal genre, and I kind of get why for the time period, but when you hear a song like this, it's not really appropriate for the style. It's just a fun track and not overly complicated while showing off what each band member can do in different points. Alien Ant Farm are an easy target for looking back at bands who are famous for one thing, but they did better than that one thing, so they should get a little credit for that. Besides, the singer actually doing that ant cut with his hair, that's dedication. The cover of Smooth Criminal made Alien Ant Farm a name, but Movies proved that they can make their own music. Fun, upbeat, good elements. I'd take this any day over a very awkward Michael Jackson tribute. Hollywood Undead have been going for a while now and really predated that scene music style if you think about it, as well as missed out in the heyday of nu metal. They're kind of in that gray area when they started. That being said, there isn't a ton to get behind on the band outside of a few select songs. Hear Me Now is proof that Hollywood Undead could occasionally get something right. With that many singers and writers, you'd figure they'd have to get it right once sooner or later. I think if Hear Me Now would have been made by a different band, it would have been seen as much more favorably, because honestly, it's fine. By Hollywood Undead standards, it's brilliant. The delivery from all three vocalists works well while feeding off each other, and the chorus really does feel like it's a good song chorus instead of what they usually do, going on in different weird verses and odd flexing. The drum work hits well, and it's the right blend of low and high notes. Is it a masterpiece? No, but it definitely works and stands out as a song the band should be proud of. Not to mention, it's a song that doesn't sound like it was written by an angry teenager. When Hollywood Undead is trying to make a song that isn't about how tough they all are and how awful everyone else is, they could actually make something decent to hear. Hear Me Now was released almost 10 years ago and is a shining example of Hollywood Undead proving they can make something memorable. It's only 3.5 minutes, but I'd rather take a short good song than 5-minute tracks of grown men singing over each other about how awesome they are. Before we get to the last entry, if you haven't already, please hit the like button below. It helps a ton to push this video in search algorithms and to push to people who aren't subscribed to the channel. Thank you for doing so. And now let's take a look at my personal best example of a good song from a bad band. I've had the mindset for years that Creed were not always a joke. Back in the late 90s, the band had a lot going for them, and their debut album that kept churning out #1 rock songs and went 5 times platinum was the rare rock album that MTV wouldn't dare touch because it wasn't edgy or tough enough. Back with the debut My Own Prison, it was the surge of post-grunge, and Creed was doing good things. It was life before Scott Stapp went nutter butter crazy. The title track to Creed's debut album, My Own Prison, is good. In fact, the album has several songs that are good, but it's truly this one that put them on the map in rock radio stations in the US years ago through word of mouth alone. I'm sure most people are aware just how talented Tremonti Phillips and Marshall are through the years of Alter Bridge material, but back in the day before fame and substances, Scott Stapp was a much better music writer in just about every aspect. Stapp's delivery is strong both in the quieter parts and when he's belting it out. Tremonti's work is great, and the entire song packs a big punch in a little over 4 minutes. This is the Creed that gets overlooked because everyone is too busy memeing the band. I openly admit I am also guilty of that. Still crazy to think that happened. Please don't turn the comment section of this video just quoting that Creed line. I don't know if I can handle that again. Just because a band is seen as bad doesn't mean they can't make good music, and I think Creed definitely fits that bill, or at least they used to. If you like a band that's seen as bad, go ahead and like them. Enjoy the music that you like. Just remember that every quote-unquote bad band is capable of making something good. Sorry, I had to. And that was a look at 10 good songs by bad bands. Do you have a good song by a band seen as lame? Leave a comment and let people know. Big thanks to my patrons and a special thanks to Brandon Barenfeld, I Love Metal, and Dom Smith. You can help have a say in upcoming videos and see videos early by supporting Rocked on Patreon. Click on the YouTube card and link in the description for more info. Please subscribe to get notified on upcoming videos. You can check out my concert photography on Instagram, and you can keep up to date with Rocked on Facebook and Twitter.